Welcome everyone to ringside. Carl Jackson here on Spectrum, the Thursday Night Wrestling Show. 1 hour of the best action you can see in professional wrestling. Maximus Knight on his way to the ring with his manager, Mr. Gold, the Rumpelstiltskin of professional wrestling. Maximus Knight, 7'3", about the same as Giant Ultimo, who is managed by Brittany Daniels. What a collision that would be if Giant Ultimo and Maximus Knight faced each other. This is kind of a off-sided match here because one of the tallest men in Heritage Wrestling Alliance, Maximus Knight, is facing one of the shorter men, Rick Soul Washington, who is on his way right now, along with Angel Wilkins. And again, the feud between managers Angel Wilkins and Brittany Daniels is legendary. Angel Wilkins, the 2011 Manager of the Year. Brittany Daniels, the 2012 Manager of the Year. And both of them have been fighting tooth and nail, or rather their respective charges have been fighting each other ever since. Rick Washington going to use his speed and agility against Maximus Knight. You know, folks, right now, it's been on the internet. People still talking about the Montreal screw job 18 years ago. And talking about who was right, who was wrong. I'm glad we don't have this kind of drama / backstabbing in the Heritage Wrestling Alliance. But here's how it goes down, folks. Vince McMahon talked about Bret Hart should have honored a time-honored tradition in professional wrestling. Really? Well, there's also another tradition, and this is not very well known, but it was more in the territorial regions. Bret Hart didn't say, hey, I want to leave. Vince McMahon said, you know, unless you take a major pay cut, I can't keep you. This wasn't like he was going from $5 million a year to $4.5 million a year. Bret Hart was going to have to take a substantial pay cut. In the days of the territories, if you left a company because of a major pay cut, you, the superstar, had the option of what your last match was going to be like. 99% of the time, the superstar who was going out did the honors. Every once in a great while, they chose not to. Now, the only problem with not choosing to do the honors is if you had to come back to that company you were leaving for any reason, odds are you would be losing most of your matches or be treated like a sideshow gimmick. So Bret Hart would have been taking that chance if things didn't work out in WCW and went back to New York. But since he was the one asked to leave, since he was the one that did not want to take a substantial pay cut, he chose, hey, I'm not going to put Shawn Michaels over, who, by the way, had a mysterious back injury where he couldn't do the honors for Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 13. So before you start talking about a time-honored tradition, Mr. McMahon, you want to go back to the territorial days. Bret had the choice. He made the choice. Whether it was the wrong choice, that's another argument. But he chose not to put him over, since he was the one having to take a substantial pay cut and wasn't wanting to leave, but you said this was in your best interest to maybe go over there. Guess what? The ball was in his court. And you took the ball from him and played it another way. All right, let's get back to the real drama, ladies and gentlemen. Well, not drama, action. Because it's all about action here in the Heritage Wrestling Alliance. Figure 4 leg lock by Maximus Knight on Rick Soul Washington. With those long legs of Maximus Knight, you can imagine what he's putting on Rick Washington in that move. Pile driver. This guy can do it all. Maximus Knight with power, wrestling ability, speed. Just a 2 count. Rick Soul Washington has proven himself, though. He went on a 11-0 streak against some of the best superstars in professional wrestling before he lost his first matchup. Heck of a start for Rick Soul Washington. Maximus Knight. Just a 2 count. Oh, and I see some blood. Who's Rick Soul Washington? It looks like he's been busted wide open. That must have happened out on the floor. But he will not say die. He will continue to fight Maximus Knight with everything he has. Maximus Knight in a little bit of trouble right now. Rick Soul Washington brings Maximus Knight up. Maximus Knight reversing it. Going for the cover. 2. Just a 2 count. Heritage Wrestling Alliance all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming to Spokane, Washington. This spring, we will also be at the Fargo Dome, Fargo, North Dakota. We're coming all over the place, and I believe we're going to be making a trip to Omaha, Nebraska. That's right, folks. We're not the wrestling company that only comes to the great big metropolitan cities. We remember where the territory started. We remember that every state, every nook and cranny loves professional wrestling. Rick Soul Washington, Mr. Gold up on the ring apron. Rick Soul Washington could have had him pinned right there. Gold making his distractions. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, this Saturday, Wrestling Superstars on Saturday morning. Yes, a wrestling show on Saturday morning. Who would have thunk it? And then this Saturday night, it's all about the women of Heritage Wrestling Alliance. On Saturday Night Lightning. And there's a big match that's coming up on their very first show. And again, just a 2 count. Maximus Knight is having a harder time than I thought he would, putting away Rick Soul Washington. What a back body drop. He should have him dead to rights right now. But no. Again, he's going for the figure 4 leg lock. He is wanting this guy to say, I quit. It's almost becoming an obsession. And look at the leverage that Maximus Knight is using. Those long arms of his, and then those long legs, and still not a submission. He's going to have to go for a pinfall. Rick Soul Washington will not quit it. Rick Soul Washington continuing to fight. No way. A suplex. He got him. 7'3" into a suplex. Rick Soul Washington, even more powerful than I gave him credit for. Takes Maximus Knight down. And if he gets a win here, we are going to call this a major upset. If Rick Soul Washington gets a victory over Maximus Knight. Brittany Daniels is chewing off her fake fingernails right now. Those Lee press-ons don't stand a chance, as nervous as that gal is. It's very, very interesting that Brittany Daniels is even looking at Maximus Knight, but she said she's going to be back in the locker room area watching this match, maybe making a deal with Mr. Gold. I can't see Mr. Gold giving up Maximus Knight. And Brittany Daniels, I don't see why she would want him, because I would think that would cause a little bit of a problem, considering she's the current manager of Giant Ultimo. You talk about an ego clash there. Giant ego clash. Pile driver on Rick Soul Washington. That should do it right there. And for the cover, the 2. That's it. Rick Soul Washington gave the battle of his life, but just not enough against Maximus Knight. And Mr. Gold, I cannot see him letting Maximus Knight go to the Brittany Daniels camp. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to Murray Hudson and the Event Center.